Testing, testing, testing. Okay. I think I'm live. Okay. And this live stream, this EFT Tapping live stream, is going to be dedicated towards a trigger that I experienced while watching the Good Fortune movie that came out with Keanu Reeves, Aziz Ansari, and Seth Rogen, and I think Kiki Palmer was her name. And essentially, the part that was triggering was the scenes where, well, I mean, pretty much a couple of the scenes, but the scene especially where Keanu Reeves, playing Gabriel the Angel, was fired from being an angel, and he was now a human. And as a result of being human, he was, what's the word I'm looking for? He had his wings removed and he had the full human experience. And because he had the full human experience, he started off basically being poor. And he was talking about how scary it was to be poor and to not have money and to not know what was going to happen next. And that was, for me, very triggering because I was homeless at 12 years old, raised by a single mother, no biological father around, and I knew I could resonate and reflect and connect with what those characters were feeling and how shitty it felt to be poor and how shitty it felt to not have the financial resources to live a much more comfortable life. And even still now, my truth is that I have a former client turned friend and incredible supporter who has been financially helping me through this time while I get my trading operating system set up. And I'm living in this 200 to 300-year-old house on the mountains in Austria. And on this top room, it's fucking cold. It's freezing. So the scenes where Arj, played by Aziz Ansari, was living out of his car and could barely make enough cash from his food delivery stuff, to Keanu Reeves washing dishes. He looks at his paycheck and he's excited about his first paycheck, and then when he looks at the paycheck and he sees how much money has been missing because of taxes and social security, he gets upset. And then Seth Rogen, going from billionaire VC investor to poor, and talking about how is it possible that people are, not angry all the time and upset and etc. I connected with a lot of those things. I connected with a lot of those things that they were experiencing and feeling and expressing. And so today, I'm going to be tapping on that. I'm going to be tapping on everything that I felt from that, because it was a lot. And that was an intense feeling. It was an intense experience to go through being homeless. And it was very intense to not only be homeless, but to feel that financial scarcity. And I still feel that financial scarcity to this day. Not anywhere near to the degree I did years ago, but I still do feel that. And watching those scenes where Keanu Reeves was talking about how he was scared of, like, what is he going to do for money? And he was eating the burger. He says, I'm a big boy. And he was eating the burger. That made me think about, like, yeah, it's really scary to be in this time, but it's also very interesting to be in this timeline that we're in the year 2025 and beyond, where we're at the coming age of artificial intelligence. We don't know. We don't know what positive things or negative things come with that just yet. I mean, we can see based on human consciousness, like, what happens. But overall, we are in uncharted territory at this timeline. And there's a lot of uncertainty as to artificial intelligence and its capacity to fully replace humans. Will humans be obsolete? Will AI help augment human work? I think a lot of people want to be very optimistic and say it's going to augment human work. But at the same time, I can see, like, hey, artificial intelligence, I think, really could replace humans. But it could be very good if we moved into some sort of a utopian society. What I've read from many spiritual books and seen on YouTube videos about the new earth. And maybe there is a new earth that is coming about where humans don't have to work anymore. And we do live a life where artificial intelligence does a majority of the things, and we live all harmoniously, and we co-create a completely new earth paradigm where there is no suffering. We go into a higher state of consciousness. We all become very enlightened, and our days are spent actually, like, enjoying life as opposed to being financial slaves and supporting a system that it's primarily based about being born, getting educated to do something, and then doing that thing, and then you die. You pay taxes along the way, and then you get buried. Maybe there is a new reality that is coming about at this time, but there is a lot of uncertainty around that. So today, I'm going to be really focusing on tapping on the fear of that and the fear of where that comes from. Okay. So I'm going to prepare myself to tap now. Take a pause, drink some water. It's very important to stay hydrated. I normally drink water before I start the live stream. But yesterday, I thought to myself, I'd try something a little bit different and schedule the stream the morning of, which is today, because maybe I need to sleep on what is the topic. So I did. But it feels weird, and that would mean that I have to retrain myself all over again. let's open up ChatGPT. Okay, so when it comes to that fear of going back to being poor and homeless again and reliving that experience, because I could resonate with what the characters in the movie were feeling and going through as they were poor and they were having their financial challenges to pay the bills and to have a place to stay, living out of their car, essentially being homeless. I could resonate with that a lot, period. What is the root cause of this, comma, what are the IFS parts, comma, what are the ECHOs potentially, and what are proper IM decrees? To release this fear of being poor and homeless again, or financially destitute or struggling or whatever, question mark. So I asked ChatGPT that question, what's like the root cause? And it's about being unprotected, being unseen, being one step away from crisis with no safety net. Okay. When you've lived through real survival stress, your nervous system becomes trained to expect instability, unexpected loss, dismissal, danger, abandonment, humiliation, shame. No one will save me. Everything can collapse overnight. So when you saw the movie scenes, you didn't just watch characters suffer. Your body remembered. It's trauma echo, not imagination. Your system thinks if it happened once, it could happen again. Okay. The homeless protector, okay. Scarcity child, okay. Overachiever, okay. Catastrophe, okay. Possible echo memories, right? Early childhood instability, times you had to survival level, okay. Powerful degrees, I'm safe now, okay. Alright. Please also give me the shadow and the golden shadow based on Carl Jung and that concept that there is a shadow that we're trying to avoid, and then there's a golden shadow that highlights the best of us. Period. And who would the characters be? The characters be that represent that best from the movie Good Fortune? Question mark. Okay, so just as a bit of information for those of you that may not know, a shadow. So Carl Jung was a psychologist that came up with this concept, I think, and that this concept was the shadow, and then there's the golden shadow. The shadow is the part of you that fears going back to instability, fears becoming invisible, associates money with humiliation, believes you must hustle or you lose everything. That's for sure. Believe security can disappear overnight. Core shadow belief: if I stop pushing, I'll fall back to the bottom. Shadow emotion is terror, shame, hypervigilance, distrust, resentment, hopelessness. Shadow behavior: overworking, catastrophizing, scanning for threats, under-celebrating wins, preparing for downfall. The shadow isn't bad. It's a traumatized survival self trying to still protect you. Golden shadow represents your hidden genius, power, and the parts of you you have not fully owned. It's the part of you that creates wealth effortlessly, attracts abundance to identity, not effort. Part of you that knows you're divinely protected and supported. Part of you that trusts life to expand, stabilize you. I am the stable source. Okay. What? No, that's not it. Okay, that's very inaccurate, but that just goes to show you that ChatGPT can be very inaccurate. AI can still be very inaccurate, just like a human. Just like a human. Okay, so I got what I need from that. Okay.
Give me some EFT setup statements.
Oh, and by the way, I have this EFT GPT that I created. Which I've already linked in the description. It's free, and all you gotta do is just click on it, pin it to your sidebar for ChatGPT, and then you can start using the EFT GPT to assist you with discovering your own stuff to hopefully get you unfucked. And that's like my big thing now at this stage. It's like getting myself unfucked. That's how I call it, which is basically getting myself unstuck from not taking the proper action, not doing the things that I need to be doing to move the needle and get myself into a better state. Core statements. Even the part of me is terrified of being poor and homeless again. Okay, cool. All right, let's see. Where is the box? The chat box. Where's the chat box of this thing? Ay. Where is the chat box? Oh boy. Can I find the chat box? Oh, here we go. Hello. Oh, can I even type on this thing? What? Ay. Oh, whatever. Whatever. What? Oh, okay. Alright, never mind. Alright. Okay, let's begin. So there's that part of me that is scared to go back to being homeless, right? Even though that part of me is scared, ending up being, right? Okay, tap with me here. If you are new to tapping, then pay attention. We've got our EFT setup point, the karate chop point, which is at the side of the hand. You can tap with either both hands, like this, with just the left hand, as so, or the right hand. Then we move to the top of the head, third eye, eyebrow, side eye, under eye, upper lip, lower lip, collarbone, ribs. Then we go to the fingers on the hand, have it facing you, the hand. Tap on the thumbnail, okay? The thumb nail, the index finger nail, middle fingernail, ring fingernail, pinky fingernail, to the ankle. Okay, there's the bone here. If you sit like this, there's the bone. Tap on that bone. That part, though, is considered contraindicated if you're pregnant. So if you're pregnant, don't tap on that point. Just tap back on the top of the head. All right, let's go. I'm gonna turn on my Brain FM. Do this and we go from there. If I can get it working. Testing. Okay, audio's back. All right, I don't know what's that about here. So I gotta do this on a different one. Let's put this audio. All right, now I'm connected. All right, let's go to the meditate. All right, 40 minutes. Here we go. I don't know why this thing is connected to the Mac and that's the microphone. I don't know. I'm gonna try to do MacBook. It doesn't work. I have no idea. But all right, either way, let's get to it. Even though there is that part of me that is scared to be poor and homeless again, I acknowledge that my nervous system still holds that memory. Even though there's part of me that's scared to be poor and homeless again, I acknowledge that the experience of being homeless was very traumatizing. Even though there's part of me that is scared of being poor and homeless again, I acknowledge that part of me is healing now. I was watching the movie with my partner yesterday. It was Thanksgiving in the United States, I believe. And we had a lovely meal together. And after the meal, I suggested we watch that movie, Good Fortune, and she was interested to watch it. And as we watched the movie, Aziz Ansari, who played Arj, the character Arj, I could resonate with some things about that character because there was a time where I was doing an app. I was working this gig app called TaskRabbit in New York City. And I had graduated in 2010, couldn't get a job. That was when that whole housing crisis happened, subprime mortgages, a lot of people were defaulting on their loans. And I remember that. Couldn't get a job. I was applying to non-paid internships. Non-paid internships. When just a few years before, people that were coming out of college were getting paid minimum $90,000 a year. And then I graduated in 2010, and I was working at a GameStop. Couldn't even get a paid job for my major, for what I went to school for. And that was scary. There was a lot of uncertainty. And that really honestly fucked up the course of my financial life and my career. I was in debt. There was I really thought about killing myself because I couldn't afford to pay back the loans at the time. And it was very horrible. It was one of the most fucked up, unenjoyable experiences ever. I bust my ass to get this fucking piece of paper that they say you need to get this good paying job. And my intention was never to just have a job. It was to be rich. And I knew you couldn't be rich while working a job necessarily. So I wanted to save up money and start my own thing anyway. But still, the process, the whole thing about going to school and getting these grades and being this fucking performance animal just to get this piece of paper, to then be told you cannot be getting a job, getting paid $90,000 a year, $100,000 a year, whatever the amount was that people were getting paid just 2, 3, 4 years before. So now here I am, working at a GameStop on 34th Street in Manhattan, working a non-paid sports internship, and it was terrible. Working a non-paid internship to get experience, and that's what they use to justify. That's what a lot of companies used at that time to justify. You need the experience. When just literally years before, 2, 3 years ago, you didn't need any fucking experience. And I could relate to what the character Arj was saying. Being a millennial, graduating from college, you think, oh, I got this degree, I'm supposed to be educated now, that's supposed to help me, and it doesn't. And it does not. And that feels horrible. It feels very horrible. And then you have debt. And, you think you're doing something wrong. And that's how I felt. I felt like, what the fuck? All these people are telling me, you gotta go to school, you gotta get good grades, you gotta blah, 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 blah. I do all of that. And then what? Nothing. And for the rest of from the time that I graduated at 21 years old until now, I'm 36 years old, I have never known having a full-time job. Thank God for that on some regards, but also what the fuck? I went to school for 4 years, put in all that time and energy for that bullshit to then graduate with what? Nothing, not a fucking thing. And this was around the time where Facebook was coming out. Facebook had just come out in 2007. I remember that. Before that was MySpace. Then you had YouTube. Then eventually Instagram. And Twitter. And now you have TikTok. And now you have X, formerly Twitter. And the landscape had changed, and no one was saying, "Oh, this is how it is. This is how you have to adapt." People were figuring it out as it went along, and probably for the better now, because you don't need to go to school. You really don't need to go to school for a lot of things, and a lot of that is bullshit. At least from what I've seen and what I've observed, if you really want to help people, most of the time is you start a business. You don't need a degree for a business. You don't need to go to school for business. In fact, that's probably the worst thing that you could do is go to school for business. What you need to be doing is actually building businesses and proving that you can help people. That's really all that is. So I understand that now at this stage. But no one's telling me because I grew up with a single mother who dropped out of high school, got her GED, and was working this city job for the city of New York. And she was eventually fired from her job when I was 11, and then we would be homeless. And as I was watching this movie, Good Fortune, I could feel that fear in Keanu Reeves, who played the angel turned human Gabriel, where the fear was, what are we going to do for money? What are we going to do for money? And then there's Seth Rogen, who I think played Jeff. And that character was this multimillionaire or possibly billionaire VC, the venture capital investor, who invested in smaller companies and consulted for them. And I remember that feeling of when Seth Rogen says, "Oh, it's gonna be fine. We're gonna go, and I'm gonna go into the office tomorrow, show them all this information and data, and it'll be fine. And they'll give me a job there, and we'll have money soon." And he sounded so confident. He sounded so incredibly confident that he knew exactly what he was gonna do, and it's gonna work out, and it's gonna be fine. And then Keanu Reeves, trusting what he was saying, was eating that burger and said, "I'm a big boy." And he was eating that burger, like feeling confident in what Seth Rogen, Jeff, was saying. And then the next day to find out, no, it didn't go anywhere near how they had intended, or he had intended it to go. And he then got fired from that job as a food delivery guy. He got his car towed, and he was basically fucked. He had no cash, no savings, no nothing. He was basically living hand to mouth. How do you do that? How do you make it living hand to mouth? I don't know. I don't know. I know that may very well be some people's reality, and that's scary. And I remember the feeling that Keanu played Gabriel. He was saying, "I'm scared. Like, what are we going to do for money? What are we going to do for money?" And in this world, in this reality, even outside of the movie, in human time, 2025, life, that is reality. Money controls everything. And yes, a lot of money and a lot of wealth is concentrated to a very small portion, very small demographic. I don't think that's accidental. And at the same time, I don't think that that's also permanent. And I believe that with the access to technology and the tools that we have today, I think it is possible for more and more people to leverage technology and the internet, especially, to become rich. I choose to believe that. Am I there right now? No, not at all. Not at all. And I really hope that the last 15 years of my life, I have not been wasting it chasing a pipe dream of being able to financially take care of myself online. The last YouTube channel that I had, I was able to monetize it through private one-to-one stuff, so active like coaching and consulting. However, I understand that in order to have been able to fully be independent and make a very real living at that, it would have required me to do some things differently, and to basically wanted to test things out and to create and to do all those things. Fast forward to today, all these years later, I'm very aware now. That I can build an online presence and monetize that online presence, but I have to really put guardrails on and just focus on being very narrow. And I understand that now at this stage. I understood that to an extent in 2017 when I created that YouTube channel that I was talking about. I understand that. But that fear of being homeless again, that fear of being poor again, that movie Good Fortune, it really triggered me. The movie I thought was funny. I enjoyed it. And I said to Hama, I wish I had purchased the film. man, it was very triggering. What are we going to do for money? Reminded me to the times where I was a child and there was never enough money. There was never enough food. The lights would go out. Yolanda Sarah could not pay all the bills. And that was life. Never enough money for food. There was more month than money. There was significantly more month than money. How are we going to pay for things? How is she going to pay for things? Because I'm a kid and I legally, technically cannot work. And there is no YouTube or internet at the time where I could get a camera and get these toys and create my own little side business. There is none of that. So what happens? I'm stuck. I'm depending on my biological mother, who grew up with her own financial scarcity issues. And I grew up with this person. And I learned their money habits and their beliefs about money. And I had their imprints about money and what that means. And then being homeless, that was massively traumatizing to know that the reason why we were evicted was because we didn't have the financial resources. And just like the similar situation here with our daughter, her being taken away because we said no to a non-life-saving surgery in a system that is state first, and they're using our daughter as an excuse to say that is in the best interests of the child. Meanwhile, we had researched that there is a such thing as regenerative medicine, there's stem cell injections, or the stem cell alternative procedures. Maybe not in Austria, but in other parts of the world. And because a fucking asshole piece of shit doctor knows that the state of Austria, the government of Austria, is going to side with him because, again, it's a state-run system. He emphasizes this fucking surgery to protect himself because otherwise it's a liability issue, and he said that. It's very irritating. It's incredibly irritating. It makes me feel powerless, and it makes me feel scared. And to that little boy in me that feels scared, I hear you. I acknowledge you. I acknowledge that fear of being homeless and poor again. And hey, I'm not saying that I'm rich. That's not what I'm saying. But when I think about being poor, I think about where I was before. And that is sleeping on a rollaway bed in a schizophrenic uncle's apartment, going to the shelter, not having even a few dollars to buy food sometimes. And I remember there was that time when we were homeless for those 6 months leading up to that, when Yolanda Sarah was fired from her job, her city job. It's like I froze just now. I remember that. When she lost her job, couldn't afford cable, couldn't afford lights, no money for food. her unemployment benefits expired, and I was forced to get food for her and myself every day after school, which was a lot of work. It was a lot of work and a lot of stress for me. And then this bitch had the fucking audacity to say, "What stress do you have? You're just a kid." Fuck you, you stupid bitch. Yes, that is my biological mother, but you are a really dumb fucking bitch. Are you fucking stupid? You dumb bitch. Do you understand how fucking stressful that is for me? Do you understand that it's fucking traumatizing to go through this experience? Because you are so fucking lazy to get another fucking job. You call yourself a fucking victim. You don't want to fucking move your ass. What the fuck is wrong with you? And there's that anger. There's that anger that I feel in my heart. Still, to this day. Still to this day. There's that resentment. I feel that resentment. I feel a lot of resentment towards this person still. And I don't want to. I want to have love in my heart for this person, which I do to an extent. But I also have a lot of resentment. And I also fucking, this person irritates the shit out of me. My biological mother. Yes, I said it. I'm honest. I'm being so honest with myself. I get it. She did her best. Or did she? Maybe she could have done significantly better. If there's a fucking Elon Musk in the world, you know, if there's a Marie Forleo, if there's a Lisa Nichols, then can I say that she was really doing her best? Can I really say even that I'm doing my best? How do I do better? By unfucking myself. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm doing the best that I can to unfuck myself. Waking up at 4 every day. Showing up here to this live stream when nobody's watching. No one gives a fuck about my problems. Who the fuck is going to care about my problems? No one. But I'm here, tapping on live stream like a cock. Like a motherfucking cocksucker. And this is my therapy. Because I had to spend almost $10,000, $12,000 on legal fees on fucking lawyers that still do not have my daughter returned back to me. And it's taking fucking the longest time. And it's been since September 23rd that she has been away. When is she going to come back? I don't know. I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know. But all that money gone to these fucking legal fees, putting money in other people's pockets. And I'm tired of doing that shit. I'm tired of doing that. What the fuck? And it's been this pattern too. Since 21, I've been doing my best to build things and build businesses and learn skills and do all this shit. And then what? And then the fuck what? Nothing. I've constantly had to feed into this entrepreneurial, creative part, and I haven't gotten any fucking ROI. I'm asking someone that was a client of mine for fucking money. And I feel like a loser, and I'm scared. I'm really scared of that. I'm scared because what if one day this guy says, "Hey, I can't help you anymore"? What am I gonna do? What the fuck am I gonna do? Working a job is fucking scary for me, personally. You know why it's scary for me? Because you go in at a certain time. You're told to do X, Y, and Z. You're around other people that they don't give a fuck. Majority of people do not give a fuck. Majority of people do not. They hate their jobs. They hate their lives. But they're doing it because they gotta pay the bills. They have to feed their kids, so they suck it up. And they put on the mask, and they suck it up. And then You have to interview for the job. You have to prove why you're the right candidate for the job. You have to prove yourself. You have to put in this fucking resume, this piece of paper that says, here's all my life skills. Here's all my skills. Here's how I help you. And then they say no, or they say yes because of your name, or because of whatever, though, because of the fucking typo, or whatever the cocksucking thing is. And then on top of that, they try to lowball you. They try to say, oh, well, based on your skills and your criteria, your qualifications, this is how much you're gonna get paid. And this is your starting salary. Are you okay with that? No, motherfucker. But then, if you're in a desperate situation, you say, yeah, sure, it's okay. I'm okay, that's fine. Because why? Because you need the job. And then they know that. And then they lowball you, not paying you what you're worth. And that's the problem that I had with fucking working these jobs. And I remember I was working an internship from Madison Square Garden in the New York Rangers department. A non-paid fucking internship. Oh, sorry. A paid internship. Getting paid, what, $100 every 2 weeks in New York City? Are you fucking crazy? You are Madison Square Garden. How much fucking money do you make? And you're doing that to people? Really? Are you fucking crazy? People are still showing up to games. People are still drinking alcohol. People are still ordering the fucking bullshit pretzels that you're feeding them. And you have the audacity to pay your interns $100 every 2 weeks? Are you fucking crazy? And yeah, it was scary. And yes, that was the reality. And yes, I also take responsibility because, hey, look, could I have been an entrepreneur sooner? Yeah, sure. Did I know anything about that though? No, I did not. It was a different landscape back then. It was a different world back then. And that makes me sound really old. I understand that. I'm not young. I'm not Gen Zer. I'm not a fucking boomer. I'm not a Gen Xer. I'm in this age. I'm in this millennial fucking generation where you're told this, and then when you do that, to get that result and that outcome, you don't. And that's very frustrating. And I understand that it's just between me and God. It's between you and me, God. It's between God and I. There is no one. There is no one. It's just us, God. And I acknowledge that it's just us. And I acknowledge and I choose to trust and have faith that you created these experiences for me, not to hurt me, but to help me grow, to help me become the man I needed to become. Even if I may not always feel like I'm man enough, even if I may not feel like I'm always good enough, even if I may feel like, what the fuck, I'm really trying to keep my balance here, and I'm trying to have a family life and a work life, and I'm trying to make sure all the bills are paid, and we have. I choose to trust and have faith, God, that you chose it this way. I choose to trust and have faith that I needed these experiences to grow my soul. I needed these moments to evolve and transcend into a higher level of consciousness. So God, please forgive me. Please forgive me for how I handled certain situations. It was very scary. It was very scary, and it was very stressful. And I had no idea. I had no idea what to do. Being homeless, there's so many layers to that being homeless. There's so much hurt associated with being homeless. There's so many feelings that came up from being homeless at the age of 12 years old. And I'm trying to figure myself out. I don't even know who I am to this day because I don't have time to figure out who the fuck I am. I have time to only think about scarcity, survival, how am I going to eat? And that's my reality. That's my fucking life. To this day. It's like I could never relax. I never feel relaxed. I never feel like I can shut off. I'm always thinking about, shit, man, I gotta move my ass. Because if I don't move my ass, what if this friend stops supporting me? And then what? I have a daughter and I have a second baby on the way. And I'm the man. I'm the guy with the cock. Because I have the penis, I'm expected to do the fucking providing. Because I've got the penis, I'm expected. And I'm okay with that. Like, really, I'm okay. Like, okay, fine. If I chose to be a human, if I chose this life, then I chose it. And I'm all right with that. Like, all good. Okay, fine. And I want to take care of my loved ones. I want to take care of my partner. I want to make sure that my partner is, doing things that she enjoys, enjoying her days. I want that. And I'm happy to do what I do. I'm happy to do that. What I'm saying is I want the fucking outcome, and I want to have that knowing, like, hey, you'll never be poor again. You'll never be homeless again. But how can I ever possibly know? You'll never possibly know. You'll never possibly know if you'll be homeless again or not. And that's scary. Because there's always that what if. What if you make a wrong move? And I don't want that for my kids. I don't want them to ever experience that. That would hurt me and just make me feel like I fucking let them down. And to be honest, I'm very scared of letting my family down. I'm scared of letting my kids down. I'm scared of letting my friend down. What if I'm not enough? What if I've been lying to myself this whole time? What if it's in my nervous system so deep that I've lied so much in my life? I've lied to myself. I've lied to Yolanda Sarah. I've lied so much to preserve my ego. What if the truth is I'm not enough? What if the truth is I'm just a fucking loser? What if I'll never make it? What if I'm always gonna be depending on this friend? What if this friend stops financially supporting me? What if I never finish building the trading operating system? What if the trading operating system doesn't work? What if I wasted my fucking time? What if I wasted the last 5 years of my life learning to trade the financial markets, getting the certifications, doing the courses, reading the fucking books, trading, back testing, forward testing, Monte Carlo, fucking setting up the variants, the formulas, the Excel sheets, looking at the charts, waking up at all hours of the fucking night to swing trade? What if it doesn't work? What if I just wasted another 5 years of my life? Then God, why would you allow that to happen? Why would you allow me to go all those years wasting my time? What if even this Livestream EFT Tapping, what am I doing? I'm on a camera talking about all my problems with people who very likely don't give a shit. I'm almost very certain of that. I mean, I get it. It's just to document what I'm doing here, but it's still scary. It still feels very uncertain. But I guess it's between me and you, God. And I'm scared. I feel that fear. I could resonate with what the angel Gabriel, played by Keanu Reeves, was saying. What are we going to do for money? That probably was my thought as a kid. Like, what are we going to do for money? The lights are going out. The apartment looks like shit. The floor is broken. The fucking walls have holes in it. There's fucking rats everywhere. This is fucking terrible. It's really horrible. It was horrible to live in that apartment. But it was a roof over our head. It sucked being that poor. It really sucked being that poor. It sucked not having enough cash. It really fucking sucked. And I would never want to go back there. And that's why I do the best that I can. I feel like I'm not moving anywhere near as fast as a lot of these fucking younger kids. And I feel like I'm slow. I feel like I'm so behind. But thank God I have no debt. At least that's what I know. And again, I'm at a stage where I can't psychologically handle good debt, according to Robert Kiyosaki. I couldn't psychologically handle that because I don't have proper cash flow. I need cash flow. I need more sources of income. I need active income that is centered around a skill, a high income skill that I can do. But how am I going to do that? I'm doing the best that I can with what I have. I only have 24 hours in a day. And according to science and research, the max focus that a human can generate from mental work is like 5 hours. Is that the truth? Or am I putting a governor on myself? I don't know. But it gets tiring after a while. And I do this 7 days a week. I don't take fucking weekends off. When there's a holiday, I don't fucking take the day off. I'm still working. Now, granted, I enjoy what I'm doing. I'm very fortunate and I'm very grateful that that friend has supported me to do that. I'm very grateful. And I owe that person so much. And I was thinking about that scene where when they finally did switch back and Seth Rogen was the rich guy again, Aziz Ansari was poor again. Seth Rogen paid his unpaid parking tickets and his towing fees and everything, and then Aziz Ansari got his life back and he got himself together and he was with the girl, and then he went and he pursued his dreams of being doing the filming and the documentaries and stuff like this. And I appreciate that that friend basically is doing that for me. And I feel shame around saying this out loud online, even if no one's watching. I feel that shame. I feel a lot of that shame. And it doesn't feel good to know that I'm 36 years old. I'm going to be 37 in about 4.5 weeks. I'm another year older. And I'm still not where I want to be. And I keep saying this. I've been saying this for the last fucking years. What is it gonna take? What the fuck is it gonna take? What is it gonna take? I don't know. I do not know. But God, it's between me and you. And I acknowledge that part of me that was homeless. I really, really do. I understand that time period was very uncertain and it was very scary. I had a schizophrenic uncle. I was living with a schizophrenic uncle who became very physically violent and very bizarre in his behavior at one point. And I remember that time where he punched me in the eye. That's another story for another time. I just remember all that chaos and all that discord because those people really had some fucking issues. Those relatives that I grew up around really had some motherfucking issues. And they keep that shit in. And that's why I'm doing all this tapping for myself, because I don't want to be anything like them. I really do not. I see this life as I'm in some sort of a video game or some sort of type of matrix of some sort, and my goal is to graduate and get the fuck out of here. I don't want to be here on Earth anymore, and I'm not going to kill myself to leave here, because what if I do come back? What if I do have to reincarnate because I killed myself? I don't want that. So I want to really make sure that I unfuck myself. I want to do the best I can. I want to fulfill my dharma. I want to be of service. I want to make an impact in people's lives. And I want to raise my vibration and consciousness and go to a higher level of consciousness. I want to make my ascension from this earth plane, from this fucking place, whatever the fuck this thing is that I see with my physical eyes. I want to make my ascension. And I don't know if saying all these fucks and all these shits and all these bitches and all these cocks and all these assholes is preventing me from ascending to a higher level of consciousness. I don't know. But I'm doing my best to clear my energy. I'm doing my best to really unfuck myself. I'm doing my best to get myself psychologically back on track. The situation with Jugendamt, Child Protective Services, taking away my daughter on the 23rd of September because the fucking asshole chief ophthalmologist said it had to be done. You don't have to do it. It's recommended, but it has to be done. Well, you fucking take away my daughter. That's very traumatizing. And what about for her? What about for her? And now you have her fucking dependent on the medical industry. And now you're doing all these fucking procedures and all these operations and all this shit to her. That's terrible. But if it's between me and you, God, then it's just between me and you. That's the only way I can see it. And that's the only way that I choose to see it, God. So thank you, God, for listening. I appreciate you. And I know that there's a lot of things that I cannot control. I choose to control a lot of things. But can I really? I don't know. And I choose to have more certainty. I choose to have more faith. And I choose to let go of this fear from my nervous system now. Even though I felt very afraid of being poor and homeless again, I let that go from my nervous system now. Even though I was very afraid to be poor and homeless again, I let that go from my nervous system now. Even though I was very afraid to be poor and homeless again, I let that go from my nervous system now. Even though I was very afraid to be poor and homeless again, I let that go from my nervous system now. Even though I was very afraid to be poor and homeless again, I let that go from my nervous system now. Even though I was very afraid to be poor and homeless again, I let that go from my nervous system now. Even though I was very afraid to be poor and homeless again, I let that go from my nervous system now. Even though I was very afraid to be poor and homeless again, I let that go from my nervous system now. And even though I was very afraid to be poor and homeless again, I let that go from my nervous system now. In the name of God and my mighty I am presence that I am, the great divine spirit team, my subconscious mind, and the great white brotherhood of the highest vibrational consciousness and frequency, with your unconditional love and support in your name, I command, declare, and decree that I am safe, that I feel safe, and that I have all the reasons in the world to know and have full certainty that I will always have a place to stay. I will always be safe. I will always be provided for. I will always be taken care of. I will always have the resources to fulfill my dharma. And so it is, and so it was. Thank you. Exhale and release that. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Forgive our debtors as we forgive our debts. Forgive our trespasses as we forgive our trespassers. Forgive our trespassers as we forgive our trespasses. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. Thank you, God, for releasing and taking out of my nervous system the fear of being poor and homeless again. And thank you, God, for anchoring into my nervous system and subconscious mind and into my heart the knowing that I'm always safe, I'm always taken care of, I'm always provided for, everything is always working out, best case scenario, all is good, all is well, and that it's just between me and you, God. Please help me just really know that factually and permanently, that it's just between me and you. There is nothing outside of me. It's just me and you. Thank you. If you found today's live stream interesting and you want to understand how to tap for yourself, I have a free EFT GPT prompt that you can download. The link is in the description. Always remember that God loves you, you are loved, and until next time, for the next live stream, I invite you once again to keep doing this inner work with me for yourself. Until next time, namaste.